Hey guys, so um, had a chance to go to the comic book store for the first time, probably of the new year. Um, Only going like once a month now because of everything going on, and with the cut down in titles, it's I think I spent about $40 this time, and that was for a month's worth, which I consider to be really good, since I'm trying not to fill the house with boxes after doing a purge. So um, this time only got 9 comics. Um, there was one that I was looking for, which was Detective Comics 1033, which was the last issue by Peter Tomasi before this whole future state event. But unfortunately, for some reason, they didn't have that one. So I went ahead and bought that one on eBay when I got back from the store. I don't know about your guys' stores, but with mine, they have things kind of in categories. At least at this one I go to, they have a couple different locations, but they have an area of the new racks where it's all Batman related, and an area where it's all Superman. I think they kind of share like a section of the wall. And they had a whole bunch of Batman stuff, but no Detective Comics. I honestly don't think I saw any, so I don't know if I just scanned past it and lost track. There was some empty spots, so this one I picked up. I wasn't sure if I was going to. This is Action Comics 1028, so the last issue by Bendis. The last one kind of wrapped everything up, so I wasn't really sure if I was going to pick this one up or not, but I went ahead and did it because, might as well just finish out the series. But the last issue, they beat all the villains, and they seemed to very hurriedly wrap things up. If you read it, basically the entire Superman family here went against the Red Cloud, and I found it a little odd because all of a sudden she's in the Phantom Zone, but you don't see any of them, get the projector or shoot her with it or anything. It's very unclear as to how they got her into the Phantom Zone. And it just felt a little rushed, like, Bendis has built up this villain to be very powerful against the Kent family, and all of a sudden she's just taken down, and they don't really show how. So I'll see how this goes. I'm sure it's really basically just going to be a wrap-up issue by Bendis. Probably not too much that will go on, but might as well. This is Batman Catwoman, issue 2. This is by Tom King, and I trust him to do basically anything nowadays. And the art is by Clayman, who did the art for Heroes in Crisis. Now that I think about that, maybe I shouldn't trust Tom King unconditionally. Heroes in Crisis, overall, I didn't think it was that interesting of a story. Maybe that's because I like Wally West, and I like him as the Flash. And obviously, Heroes in Crisis was kind of a teardown of Wally West's character. But, most of the time, Tom King, especially on Batman, has been very good. And with with what they're doing now, I don't know who's taking over Detective Comics. If they've announced it, I missed out on it. I know that one guy is taking over Superman and Action Comics from Bendis, and I didn't really recognize his name. And I know Tinian's staying on Batman as far as I know. So I don't know who's going to be on Detective Comics. They just did announce a miniseries by Tom Taylor, Legends of the Dark Knight. But I haven't seen too much on what Batman's going to be like after the future slate, or future state. And I don't know about you guys, I totally skipped future state. I had no interest. It was a lot of unknown talents as far as writing and art to an extent, and that's what we used to have, like Marvel Presents and kind of those quarterly and compilation issues for. I don't see a reason to have 2 months worth of stories like that. So this is basically the other DC book that I'm picking up currently, which is Rorschach, also by Tom King. This is also like Batman and Catwoman. It's a Black Label series. These Black Label miniseries seem to be the way to go, I think, for me, for the foreseeable future, because I can get a self-contained story, and they seem to be putting their best foot forward on these. So this one's dealing with Watchmen's Rorschach, and it's in continuity, or it seems to be, because it's supposed to be after Rorschach has died at the end of Watchmen. So I read the first issue. It was pretty interesting, and gave Tom King the benefit of the doubt on that one. This is Immortal Hulk 42. If you're not reading this, you should be. It's basically the most fun I've had with Hulk as an ongoing series, probably since the 60s, 70s. I'm surprised it's gone so long. I thought at one point they had like an oversized issue, I think it was issue 20. And at the time, I thought they said that was the last issue, and then it just kept going. So it's been really good. They've had Alex Ross doing the covers for probably the last 20 some odd issues. I don't think he did. Did he do the first one? I think he might have. So he's basically been doing cover art the entire time, I think. But Immortal Hulk's worth picking up. I caught up recently, read through everything. Only going to the comic book store once a month gives you a chance to kind of catch up on your reading, which is nice. This is Thor number 11. I was thinking about dropping it, but the Prey storyline with Thor's alter ego, Dr. Blake. Is it Dr. Blake? Yes. Just as I was thinking I was going to drop Thor, they introduced that storyline, and that was too intriguing for me to let it go. And with covers like this, I mean, this is Oliver Coipel, and this thing just looks amazing. This looks like a Conan the Barbarian, old black and white magazine, or even like this reminds me so much of the He-Man mini comics, the Dragon Wizard that's on like the first issue. But yeah, the Prey storyline, read the first couple issues, and then I thought, okay, well, I'll keep picking up Thor for that, and we'll see how it goes. It did, his first, 5 or 6 issues was the Galactus story, and when he did Guardians, I want to say, he did, wasn't it 12 issues, and then it was basically his entire story, and then they switched writers, because he just wanted to tell that story and then move on to the next thing. So maybe he'll do that with Thor. I don't know. They seem to be moving Donny Cates around a lot. This is X-Men 16. X-Men with Hickman has been great. I always loved the Hickman Fantastic Four run. I think that's one of the best things in comics. Also, his Avengers storylines were really great. X-Men just had the X of Swords. I only picked up X-Men and the X of Swords standalone issues. So I didn't pick up like New Mutants and Excalibur, Wolverine, Helions, Cable. I think there's like 12 other freaking X books at this point. But Hickman only writes X-Men, and I think he does something on New Mutants. Maybe just helping the writer on that one. I don't think he's the main. So, I didn't get all the pieces of X of Swords. But honestly, I just read through it yesterday. Basically, the first one shot, and then all the X-Men issues, and the last one shot. You only missed you missed the characters finding the swords. I guess I was unsure as if they really needed to do much because some of those blades people had already, and you missed the fights up until Apocalypse and Genesis. But realistically, a spoiler warning, I guess, when you get to that final fight, basically the adversaries are tied, and the last fight's the only one that's going to matter anyways. So I didn't really feel like I missed out on much. There was obviously some stuff with the Excalibur and Captain Britain Corps I missed out on, and I did look today just to see if they had the Excalibur, I want to say 15 or something that was right before it, where it looks like they brought back the Captain Britain Corps, but they didn't have that issue, and I don't really feel like I missed out on anything that's going to be important to the X-Men book itself ongoing. So that's one of the things with the big two these days is if you get sucked into a mini series or I should probably use the word event. You end up buying so many ancillary issues that are just not worth your time, quite honestly. This is Usagi number 16. I just read the first issue of the IDW series earlier. Honestly, I kind of like the black and white printing from the Dark Horse Age better. Basically now Stan Sakai is doing everything except the color. That's by Tim Luth. And the covers have always been in color, but the insides with the Dark Horse runs and previous were always black and white. And at least this first issue, I found it easier to read the black and white. With the color, it seemed to kind of blend all together. And it's a very muted color palette. There isn't too much going on because it's supposed to be realistic, I guess. But we'll see how this goes. Their IDW is also putting out Usagi Wanderer's Road, which is really just color reprints of original Usagi from the early days. So I picked up the first issue because I didn't know that's what it was. In my saver today, they have the second one, and I told them, I don't really need color reprints of Usagi. I have the black and whites. This is Oblivion Song by Robert Kirkman. Now that Invincible and Walking Dead are over, he's basically got this and Outcast, and if they're still doing it, they have Die Die Die, but that one's kind of here and there. Oblivion Song, for a little bit I was thinking about dropping it because we're on issue 29 now, and it felt like it felt like he didn't have an end game. With Kirkman, most of the time he supposedly has an end result that he's going for. I mean, his series have ends. His Invincible and his Walking Dead ended. Hard to say. I caught up with about 5 issues of Oblivion Song, and they did move the story quite a bit forward, so I figured I'd stick with it. I'm kind of thinking, or hoping I should say, that it does wrap up maybe with like issue 35 or something. I just don't see how this situation and overall story can go for another, 40 issues. It just seems like it should have a specific end to it. So, last for this week, got X-O Manowar #3. This is the new relaunch. I haven't read issue 1 or 2 yet, but obviously this is Action Comics #1 homage here. From Valiant, basically I just pick up X-O, Rai, and the Eternal Warrior. Right now, Rai's on like a hiatus. They got up to issue 9 or 10 of the most recent series, and then it was kind of like, end chapter 1 or something like that at the end of the book, and now it's just not being solicited, so I guess that was the end of that story, and they'll come back later to it. X-O was not being published for a few months in between the Matt Kindt and the start of this one, and then also with the pandemic, they kind of took a 6-month break. And then Eternal Warrior, they're just not, ever since that Eternal Warrior miniseries after Book of Death, they haven't done anything with them. So I'm interested to see when they start that up again, and I'll pick that up. A couple things I did read this week, really quick. I finished off The Batman's Grave by Warren Ellis and Brian Hitch. That was very good. I highly suggest that. That was just a 12-issue miniseries, but you got a good amount of Batman, and very high quality Batman, if you want my 2 cents. And you got some really interesting interactions with Commissioner Gordon and Alfred in that miniseries. One of the scenes, Commissioner Gordon, they've caught somebody who had murdered a cop, and one of the detectives is like, "Hey, why don't you have a smoke?" And Commissioner's like, "Sure." And then the 2 detectives basically turn to each other like, "Okay, you're gonna act like you took your gun, and I'm gonna shoot him." So it doesn't make Commissioner Gordon look like he doesn't come off looking like a saint. And then Alfred, they have him shoot a guy. He says he uses plastic bullets, so Bruce can't be too angry, but Alfred's quick to make the distinction between the gun being a tool, and, he says, "A gun didn't kill my friends, Martha and Thomas Wayne, the guy holding the gun did," which is an interesting take when you take into account Batman. The other thing I read recently, what was it? Now I've lost track. I dropped Captain America because that was getting to be long in the tooth. I don't remember what it was, but anyways, that's the pickups for this week, guys, or this month. Hopefully I'll be back sooner rather than later if I get some time to record. Thanks.